Hey guys, welcome back. Today it's game day, it's match day because Alex Eala is going to start Miami 2026 and we're going to have a big match. Actually, it's Philippines versus Germany. We have Laura Siegemund on the other side, and in this video we're going to find out more how we can beat Germany, because I will be with Alex all the way in. I hope you as well. So if you are with Alex, write it down below in the comments, like the video, subscribe to be a Filipino in this amazing army. That being said, let's go and watch this because I'm so curious. A couple of hours until the game, today, 19th of March. Let's go.
Then you got the 31st seed, Eala. She gets a bye in the first round. She'll take on either Siegemund or Marchenko in the second round.
Ooh, look at the precision, man. Wow. Attacking, awesome.
The air in Miami in late March doesn't just sit around you, it wraps itself around your throat. It is a suffocating, dense blanket of humidity that drains the electrolytes from your pores before you even step onto the hard court. It is an environment that tests the physical limits of the human body, but at the 2026 Miami Open, the weather is about to become the absolute least of anyone's concerns. The draw has just been released, and the tennis world is currently vibrating with a tension that you can practically feel through the screen, a low-frequency hum of anticipation that has completely hijacked the narrative of the tournament. One specific matchup is already generating a level of buzz that eclipses the defending champions, eclipses the world #1s, and eclipses everything else on the schedule. We are looking at a collision course that feels significantly less like a standard second-round tennis match and more like a psychological thriller, a high-stakes game of emotional chess played out under the blinding, unforgiving Florida sun. Alex Eala, the 31st seed, the gritty, iron-willed rising star, has secured her first-round bye, but her path forward leads directly, unavoidably, into a Category 5 hurricane. She is set to face off against Laura Siegemund. To call Laura Siegemund a tennis player is to severely understate what she actually does when she steps inside a stadium. Siegemund is a master of the dark arts of professional sports. She is a player whose very name has become entirely synonymous with controversy, disruption, and an uncanny, almost supernatural ability to completely dismantle her opponents. She does not do this through superior stroke play. She does not overpower you with a blistering 120-mile-per-hour serve. She does not hit you off the court. No, Laura Siegemund beats you by breaking into your mind. She beats you through a calculated, systematic, and utterly ruthless breakdown of your psychological fortitude. While the matchup promises to be a spectacular clash of generations and styles, the physical side of the game, the forehands, the backhands, the footwork, is almost secondary. This is shaping up to be a total mental war, a gladiatorial combat of focus. The question on everyone's lips, from the veteran commentators in the broadcast booths to the die-hard fans sitting up in the nosebleeds at Hard Rock Stadium, is incredibly simple yet impossible to answer until the first ball is struck. How will Alex Eala handle the notorious, infuriating, and historically effective mind games of Laura Siegemund? If you are new to the sport, or if you...
Okay, let's dive a little bit in what it happened in the first minutes over here, because if she's going to play like this, Alex needs a lot of support from the audience, from us, you know, sending that energy over there. Because I don't know why, guys, but I feel inside of me that Alex is going to win this game. I know she's going to win. She has to win. I didn't know about this psychological shit that the other player is doing, but I hope Alex it's gonna be strongly, not only psychologically, and you know, strongly on her feet, and try to disrupt all these things. Alex is going to make it.
You have somehow missed the last decade of WTA drama, you need to understand exactly who Siegemund is. She has long been one of the most polarizing, debated, and controversial figures in the history of modern tennis. Her reputation isn't just built on her win-loss record. Her legacy is built on the smoldering wreckage of her opponent's focus. She doesn't just play the yellow felt ball. She plays the person across the net. She plays the chair umpire. She plays the crowd. And most importantly, she plays the clock. It is the worst kept secret on the tour that her tactical game plan extends far, far beyond the white lines of the court. She is the undisputed reigning queen of the delay. She is known for using every single microscopic loophole in the Grand Slam rulebook to slow down the pace of play to a glacial, agonizing crawl. She thrives on throwing her opponents out of their natural rhythm, forcing them to stand at the baseline, bouncing the ball, waiting and waiting and waiting until they are forced to sit in their own thoughts and begin to overthink every single swing. Man. She is a pioneer of the tactical shoelace tie, a master of the strategic towel break, a practitioner of the controversial, momentum-killing medical timeout. At the 2026 Miami Open, this matchup with Eala will undoubtedly be the ultimate testing ground for these tactics. We are not talking about minor annoyances here. We are not talking about a player taking an extra 3 seconds to catch her breath. Siegemund's history of controversial actions is so deeply well documented and so widely discussed in locker rooms across the globe that it has literally become the first line of her scouting report. To truly understand the storm that Alex Eala is walking into, we have to look at the blueprint of Siegemund's chaos. We have to look at the history. A key example, a match that still leaves a bitter metallic taste in the mouths of tennis purists, took place under the brightest lights in the sport, the US Open, Arthur Ashe Stadium, the night session. Siegemund faced off against the pride of American tennis, Coco Gauff. Gauff was the golden girl, the phenomenal rising star, the player with the weight of an entire nation on her shoulders, and all the momentum in the world. But on that night in New York, Siegemund didn't just compete. She conducted an absolute masterclass in psychological disruption. She deliberately, meticulously sabotaged the tempo of the match. The American crowd is known for being loud, fast, and electric, but Siegemund turned that electricity into a weapon against Gauff. Whether it was taking an excessive, infuriating amount of time between points, requesting lengthy medical evaluations for phantom injuries that seemed to miraculously vanish the very second the umpire called time, or engaging in endless, pointless, looping debates with the chair umpire over calls that weren't even close. Siegemund did absolutely everything in her power to ensure Coco Gauff never ever found her flow state. It was agonizing to watch. It was like watching a sports car stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic. You could literally see the frustration radiating off Gauff. You could see the fast twitch muscles cooling down. You could see the doubt creeping in as Siegemund walked at a snail's pace to grab her towel for the 50th time. When Gauff finally reached her breaking point, when she finally marched up to the net and called the umpire's attention to this blatant, unapologetic gamesmanship, the official finally issued a time violation. The crowd erupted. But instead of correcting her behavior, instead of apologizing and speeding up, Siegemund executed her signature pivot. She launched into a full-scale tantrum. She played the role of the persecuted victim with an Academy Award level of conviction.
And Siegemund played the role of the victim when it didn't go her way.
Even less than a 0 because they treated me bad. Like, they treated me like I was a cheater, like I was
If you are like this, you are a cheater.
Sneaky ways to win this match or something. They treated me like I was a bad person. But you know, there are people who are throwing rackets, who are screaming, who are like making bad gestures toward the audience.
She waved her arms, she argued, she delayed the game even further to complain about being penalized for delaying the game. It was a vicious cycle of chaos. And then, in the post-match press conference, she sat down, looked the global sports media dead in the eye, and claimed her movements were simply slowed by the sheer physical intensity of the match, calling the crowd disrespectful and the violation deeply unfair. But anyone with eyes, anyone who has ever picked up a tennis racket, could see the undisputed truth. It wasn't fatigue, it was a weapon. It was a deliberate, cold-blooded tactic designed to hijack the...
So let's stop a little bit, guys, because I'm getting nervous, like now, 3 hours before the game. I hate this kind of players. I'm sorry. I don't have anything against Germany, of course. I love Philippines, and I'm going to be with the Philippines. But what the hell? What kind of game is this? Why? I mean, play fair. You know, and then the Oscar. Yeah, that performance was an Oscar, honestly, of crying and, oh my God, come on.
Match, and when the plan was exposed to the world, she used her own manufactured frustration to further distract her opponent. And the drama, of course, did not stop in New York. The Siegemund playbook was thrown wide open once again at the 2026 Australian Open, where she was accused of a move that many in the tennis community considered the absolute ultimate sign of disrespect. During a tightly contested match against Hughes under the sweltering Melbourne sun, Siegemund stepped up to the baseline and served the ball while her opponent was clearly clearly, visibly, and undeniably not ready. Hughes had her back turned, her racket down. Siegemund fired the serve anyway. She won the point, but in doing so, she permanently lost any remaining shred of goodwill from the international fans. When Hughes, completely rightfully, demanded that the umpire intervene and replay the point, Siegemund didn't apologize. She didn't offer a let. Instead, she went on the offensive. She aggressively accused the official of bias. She claimed they were unfairly favoring her opponent, screaming that she was playing by the rules and that it wasn't her job to make sure her opponent was awake. The match literally had to be halted. Supervisors had to be called to the court just to calm the situation down. This is the hallmark. This is the absolute signature of the Laura Siegemund career. Create total chaos. Play the psychological game until the opponent cracks. Bend the rules until they are completely unrecognizable, and then cry foul the moment you are caught. She lives in the gray areas of the sport. She feeds almost vampirically on the sheer frustration of athletes who just want to play a clean, fast-paced, honorable game. But here is the massive twist in the narrative for Miami. This is why this specific match is the most anticipated showdown of the year. As Siegemund prepares to unpack her bag of tricks and unleash these toxic tactics once again, she is looking across the net at Alex Eala. And let me make this very clear to you. Alex Eala is not your average fragile rising star. She is not a rookie who is going to be blinded by the headlights of gamesmanship. Eala is a player who has been forged in the absolute fires of adversity. She is someone who has been tested in the mental arena time and time and time again, often under crushing circumstances that would have completely broken a lesser, weaker player. Eala has faced her fair share of nightmarish situations, and crucially, many of those situations involve the very authority figures, the umpires and referees that Siegemund loves to manipulate. Eala knows exactly what it feels like to face massive mental hurdles that have absolutely nothing to do with hitting a yellow ball over a net, and everything to do with the toxic environment surrounding it. Eala has stared extreme adversity dead in the face, and every single time the tennis world expected her to fold, every time the commentators counted her out, she proved that she possesses a mental fortitude that is practically made of titanium. I want you to think back just
That's
a little while ago
Philippines.
to the 2026 Australian Open qualifiers. This was not just a tournament for Eala. This was a defining, career-altering crucible. She was already locked in a brutal, high-stakes, physically exhausting match. Her career was on the line. The pressure was suffocating. And then, the system itself seemed to turn against her. She was unfairly penalized by the referees. Points were literally taken away from her on bad calls. Critical decisions were replayed in a bizarre manner that seemed deliberately designed to stop her momentum and prevent her from advancing to the main draw. It was a nightmare scenario for any professional athlete. It was the kind of gross injustice that makes players smash their rackets to pieces and scream at the heavens. But instead of crumbling, instead of letting the massive, glaring injustice ruin her concentration, Eala did what she does best. She planted her feet. She stood her ground. She didn't just passively accept the bad calls like a victim. She marched to the chair. She demanded a review. She looked the officials in the eye and fought tooth and nail for her absolute right to a fair game. And in a monumental moment that stunned the hostile crowd into total silence, she forced a reversal. She beat the system. That wasn't just a win on the scoreboard. It was a massive, undeniable victory for her spirit. It sent a shockwave through the entire WTA tour. It proved that Alex Eala doesn't just rely on a heavy forehand or a powerful first serve. She has the raw, unadulterated psychological strength to take on the entire establishment when they are dead wrong. This exact refusal to be bullied, this exact demand for respect is the precise mindset she is going to need when Siegemund inevitably starts her theatrical antics in Miami. And you have to understand, Ayala's resilience isn't some lucky one-time thing. It's not a fluke. It is a deeply ingrained pattern of behavior. Remember her epic clash against Iga Swiatek, facing the world #1, a multi-time Grand Slam champion, an absolute juggernaut of the sport, is enough to make 99% of players shake in their custom-made sneakers. Eala was playing the absolute match of her life, trading blow for heavy blow, pushing the great Swiatek to the absolute ragged limit. But once again, the universe tested her. The match was horribly marred by bizarre officiating decisions that threatened to completely shatter her hard-earned confidence. The pressure was immense. It was a physical weight pressing down on her shoulders. The stadium was roaring, a deafening wall of sound. The stakes quite literally could not have been higher. Yet, in the middle of that hurricane, Eala remained a terrifyingly silent pillar of calm. She kept her focus tight like a laser cutting through steel. She absolutely refused to allow the external distractions, the bad calls, the noise, the sheer gravity of the moment to penetrate her mental bubble. Even when the calls were wildly questionable, even when the momentum felt like it was being violently stolen by forces completely outside of her control, Eala stayed utterly level-headed. She didn't complain. She didn't throw her hands up. She simply walked back to the baseline, bounced the ball, and fought back. She rose above the obstacles with a cold, calculating precision.
Man,
this is what separates
respect,
Alex
guys.
Eala from the rest of the pack. While Siegemund might try to play her little mind games, while she might try to frustrate Eala with her endless delaying tactics and her cheap psychological warfare, Siegemund is about to find out that Eala is a battle-hardened veteran of pressure. She has been in the deepest, darkest trenches. She has dealt with grossly unfair officiating and the crushing, soul-sucking mental strain of facing the absolute best in the world. You cannot intimidate a player who has already survived the fire. But let's talk about the preparation. Let's talk about what has been happening behind closed doors, away from the cameras, because this is where the advantage truly decisively shifts in this matchup. Eala hasn't just been down in Florida hitting fuzzy yellow balls against a mechanical ball machine. She hasn't been running generic baseline drills. She has been meticulously, specifically preparing for the patented Siegemund brand of absolute chaos. As part of her intense lead-up to the Miami Open, Eala has been engaging in a secret weapon of a training camp. She has been training extensively, day in and day out, with Joao Fonseca. For those who don't follow the men's game as closely, Joao Fonseca is a terrifying rising phenom on the ATP side. He is known for an incredibly violent, aggressive playing style, possessing a heavy explosive racket speed and a mental resilience that completely belies his young age. So why Fonseca? Why is a WTA player bringing in an ATP powerhouse to prepare for a veteran trickster? Because Fonseca brings a level of primal intensity and a heavy, high-speed spinning ball that absolutely forces a player to stay completely locked in or risk getting blown off the court. Training with Fonseca is not about finding a rhythm, it's about surviving an onslaught. It has allowed Eala to sharpen her technical defensive skills, yes, but far more importantly, it has massively strengthened her mental discipline. Fonseca's game simply does not allow for a single microsecond lapse in concentration. If you zone out against Joao Fonseca, the ball is past you before you can blink. He forces you to be ready, to be blindingly fast, and to be mentally tougher than you ever thought possible. This is the absolute perfect, scientifically designed antidote to Siegemund's slowdown tactics. By practicing against the relentless, high-octane energy of Fonseca under the blazing Florida sun, Eala is actively conditioning her brain to operate at a massive high frequency. She is building a mental engine that cannot be stalled. This preparation makes it exponentially harder for Siegemund to drag Eala down into her psychological swamp. Eala has been honing the specific vital resilience needed to handle the provocations she knows with 100% certainty are coming. She isn't just expecting the mind games, she is welcoming them. She's inviting them. She has turned her practice sessions into a cutting-edge laboratory for mental toughness. When Eala and Fonseca are on the practice court, they aren't just working on cross-court backhand angles. They are running simulations. They are actively working on how to stay composed when the rhythm is violently broken. They are working on maintaining a dead-eyed focus when the environment becomes wildly unpredictable. Imagine the drills. Imagine Fonseca intentionally taking too long to serve. Imagine him disputing a line call in practice just to see if Ayala's heart rate spikes.
Because she's already
Fonseca's entire
prepared
style
now.
is built on aggressive focus, and Eala has wholly absorbed that same implacable, unbreakable spirit.
Okay, guys, this was it. The video. Couple of hours until the game. I guess in Philippines will be like 11 o'clock midnight, more or less. Here it's 5 o'clock. It's going to be. I mean, when the game is going to be on. And I don't know about you guys. I'm so excited, especially now that I know what what awful player the other one is. But I know Alex will crush her. Will crush her, and I'm gonna predict like something, I don't know, 2 sets is going to be. That's it. 2-0 and move on. Because it's not fair to be like that. I hope Alex will be calm. She already trained with Fonseca, like this guy said. She knows what to expect over there. She's not going to crack. I'm sure of it. If you want to be a part of this, let me know down below. What do you think? And of course, I don't know, write whatever for Alex over there to feel your energy. And subscribe, of course, to the channel if you want to do that. I'm so excited. We're going to follow up the game, how he's going to be. Like I said, Alex, I hope is going to have a really not that hard game, because she's mentally strong, not only because she already, had a lot of games and she's number 29 in the WTA, but because she's coming from Philippines, and we all know how resilient and strong Filipino people are. So for me, from Alex and Channel and Alex and Channel Volt, go Alex Eala, and I'm going to be there watching the game and with all my heart going for the Philippines. Again, let me know what you think down below, guys. Until next time, stay safe. And go Alex.